The grand hall of the Interstellar Council shimmered with light from millions of stars projected through the transparent ceiling. Delegates from thousands of species filled the room, their shapes, sizes, and colors unlike anything seen before. Some floated above the ground, some crawled or walked, and others seemed to exist as shimmering energy forms. Each species had its own ideas, its own pride, and its own ambition. At the center of the hall, a figure appeared. It was not a being from any known species. Its body seemed to ripple like liquid glass, and its voice resonated in the minds of everyone present. "I am the Arbiter," it said. "For eons, your civilizations have grown. You have mastered technology, war, and trade. But now, the time has come for the ultimate challenge, a test that no species has ever passed, a test to measure true survival, adaptability, and morality." Murmurs spread across the room. Delegates exchanged glances. Some looked confident, others nervous. A few whispered among themselves, planning secret strategies. "What is this test?" a reptilian delegate hissed. Its voice was sharp, filled with suspicion. "Where will it be held?" The Arbiter's form shimmered brighter. "You will be sent to a newly discovered planet. Its environment is extreme. Storms of fire and ice, forests of deadly flora, rivers of acid. Many will fail. Some will not even survive the first week. Only the species that adapt, cooperate, and endure may succeed." A pause filled the hall. Then, a murmur of fear and disbelief swept through the crowd. The next speaker, a small bird-like alien with wings that glimmered like gold, said, This is impossible. Our fleets, our technology, our weapons, they will not work there. Only fools would try to survive such a place." "And yet," the Arbiter said, "one species has volunteered without hesitation." All eyes turned to the human representative standing at the back of the hall. They looked ordinary, humans often did at first glance. But there was a calm confidence in their eyes. They wore simple suits, carried minimal equipment, and smiled at the assembly as if the challenge excited them rather than frightened them. A tall alien with many eyes sneered. "Humans? You mean the Deathworlders? You come from one of the harshest planets in this sector, but you are weak. You rely on luck and stubbornness, nothing more." A human woman stepped forward. Her hair was tied back in a practical braid, and her eyes sparkled with determination. "We don't rely on luck," she said. "We survive. We adapt. That's what we've always done, and that's what we'll do again." A murmur went through the hall. Some species laughed, some frowned, others looked uneasy. No one expected such boldness. The Arbiter raised a hand. "All participants will leave for the planet within the next cycle. Transport ships have been prepared. Survival depends not on strength or technology alone, but on your ability to endure the planet's challenges. Remember, cooperation, creativity, and courage are your true tools." The aliens began to argue. Some claimed they would dominate the planet immediately, using machines and advanced weapons. Others worried about the deadly flora and fauna. A few species whispered about sabotage, hoping to weaken the competition before the challenge even began. The humans, however, remained calm. They discussed quietly among themselves, planning only general strategies and what each person should focus on. They trained their minds and bodies, reviewing survival skills that were already second nature on their home planet called Erebus 9, known among other species as a death world. For humans, this kind of environment was familiar. Harsh storms, poisonous plants, massive predators, extreme temperatures. These were ordinary parts of life on Erebus 9. Where other species would struggle, humans thrived. But they did not underestimate the challenge. They knew the planet could surprise them, and they welcomed it. As the cycle ended, transport ships emerged from the Council's hangar, sleek vessels designed to withstand the unknown. Delegates boarded with confidence or fear, depending on the species. The humans entered their ship with quiet smiles, checking their supplies but carrying no weapons more advanced than what they could use with skill and ingenuity. The journey through space was tense. Alien delegates argued, plotted, or panicked. Humans played games, told stories, and shared rations. They laughed softly, their camaraderie a stark contrast to the tension in other ships. Finally, the planet came into view. It was a world of chaos and beauty. Dark mountains rose like jagged teeth, rivers glowed with acidic light, and the skies swirled with storms of violet and red. Forests seemed alive, their trees moving slightly, as if aware of the newcomers. Lightning cracked the sky, followed by booming thunder that echoed across the landscape. The alien fleets trembled. Machines failed in the unpredictable atmosphere. Some ships overheated, others couldn't land safely. Panic spread among the delegates. Humans, however, landed smoothly, guided by instinct and careful observation. They stepped onto the planet's surface, breathing through environmental suits but moving with confidence. The ground was uneven, the air thick with strange chemicals, yet they adjusted easily, testing their surroundings with skill and patience. "Looks intense," one human said, smiling at a teammate. "Let's see what this place really wants from us." Nearby, a massive alien with armored plates and 6 arms struggled to stabilize its landing. Its ship trembled violently, and the alien hissed in frustration. "Impossible!" it shouted. "No technology can handle this." The humans only nodded politely. They knew that brute force alone would not win this test. Understanding, adaptation, and patience were the keys. The Arbiter's voice echoed from above, resonating through the atmosphere. "The test begins now. Survive, adapt, and endure. Remember, the true measure is not your power, but your spirit." Almost immediately, the planet made its first claim. A storm of fire and ice swept across the landing zone, toppling equipment, damaging fragile ships, and forcing species to take shelter. Acidic rain began to fall, sizzling on metal and burning through unprotected material. Forests creaked and moved, trees leaning as if testing the intruders. Predatory creatures, unseen at first, slithered or stalked in the shadows. The humans reacted calmly. They set up temporary shelters, used available materials to protect their landing site, and scouted the area cautiously. They shared knowledge, quickly, showing teamwork without arrogance. Some alien species panicked. Their fleets struggled to maintain formation. Some ran from storms into even more dangerous terrain. Others tried to attack the planet's predators with advanced weapons, only to find that the creatures were faster, stronger, or smarter than anticipated. One particularly arrogant alien, a towering species covered in crystalline armor, shouted, "This is ridiculous. We are the greatest minds of the galaxy and we cannot survive a few storms and plants?" A human laughed softly. "It's not the storms or plants that are impossible. It's thinking you can just force your way through without understanding the world around you." The alien stared at them in disbelief. No other species had spoken so boldly, and even less had survived without advanced defenses or cheating strategies. Night fell on the planet, but there was no comfort. Thunder rolled, and the planet's bioluminescent plants glowed in eerie patterns. Yet the humans gathered together, sharing warmth, planning the next day, and resting efficiently. They slept in shifts, always alert, always prepared. Across the planet, other species struggled. Some fought each other for resources. Some fell prey to predators. Some simply froze, unable to adapt to the ever-changing environment. By the end of the first cycle on the planet, it was clear that humans were different. They were not the strongest. They were not the fastest. But they were clever, resilient, and cooperative. They used the planet's resources wisely, respected its dangers, and learned from each encounter. The Arbiter observed silently from beyond the stars, unseen but ever present. Its thoughts were unreadable, but it noted every detail, every success, and failure. Humans sat around a small fire they had constructed from naturally fallen materials. The flames danced, reflecting in their eyes. They laughed softly at minor mistakes, comforted each other, and quietly planned the coming days. One human spoke, looking at the glowing horizon. "This place, it's trying to test more than just our strength. It wants to see if we can think, survive, and help each other. That's something we've always done, isn't it?" Another nodded. Exactly. We survive because we work together. That's what makes us us. The first night ended with humans awake and alert, while other species struggled, fearful, or defeated. The planet was unforgiving, but the humans were ready. Their eyes reflected the starlight above and the fires below, a quiet promise to endure. The Arbiter's voice echoed once more, almost as a whisper. Let us see if the Deathworlders truly survive where others fail. And somewhere deep within the storm-tossed planet, unseen predators moved, curious about the new arrivals. But the humans, as always, were ready. The test had begun, and the galaxy was about to witness a survival story unlike any it had ever seen. The sun rose on Zerath Prime like a furnace in the sky, burning orange and red through the swirling clouds. The planet's surface was alive with movement. Rivers of molten minerals glowed with heat. Towering mountains cast deep shadows over. Jagged valleys and thick forests seemed to shift as though the trees themselves were watching. The air was heavy with chemicals and the scent of strange vegetation, sharp and acidic. Humans stepped out from their landing craft, scanning the environment carefully. Their boots crunched over the uneven ground, and their suits hissed slightly as filters adjusted to the harsh atmosphere. Other species emerged as well, some gracefully, others with difficulty. Alien machines shuddered and groaned under the weight of storms and acidic rain. Many of the more delicate species struggled just to keep their equipment functional. A tall, four-armed alien from the planet Nylor struggled to pull its craft's hatch open. "This is absurd!" it shouted. "Our sensors cannot adjust to this atmosphere. Our shields are useless." Nearby, a human man knelt, testing the ground with a stick-like tool he had fashioned from the ship's remains. He looked up and smiled at his team. "It's tricky, yes, but it's not impossible. Just need to learn how this world moves." The humans split into small groups, each taking a sector to explore. Their first task was simple: assess danger and find safe shelter for the group. They moved carefully, avoiding unstable ground, acidic pools, and the first signs of the planet's dangerous wildlife. The first challenge came sooner than expected. A predator burst from the undergrowth, tall as a building, with multiple limbs tipped with sharp claws. Its eyes glowed faintly red, scanning for movement. The alien delegation panicked. Machines whirred and fired energy beams, but the weaponry was unpredictable in the strange atmosphere. Several aliens were forced to retreat. The humans acted differently. They observed the creature's behavior, noticing how it reacted to movement, sound, and light. They used simple traps crafted from branches, vines, and parts of their landing craft. The predator, confused and cautious, was captured without harm to humans or other aliens who had stumbled into the path. One human woman spoke softly as she adjusted a trap. "Strength isn't always about force. Sometimes it's about understanding." Her teammate nodded. "Exactly. This planet teaches respect, and those who ignore that lesson won't last long." Meanwhile, other species struggled to keep up. Many of their advanced machines failed. Environmental suits cracked under pressure. Communication devices malfunctioned in the thick, charged air. Panic spread, and some factions even turned on each other, accusing neighbors of sabotage or incompetence. The humans, however, stayed focused. They built temporary shelters using materials from the landing craft and the surrounding forest. Walls were reinforced with both human technology and natural resources. They even dug shallow trenches to divert acidic rainwater. Their shelters were simple but efficient, and most importantly, they could be repaired and adapted quickly. At night, the humans gathered together, sharing information about the planet. Some of the alien species were forced to seek shelter near them, helpless and unsure. The humans offered guidance, showing how to purify water, filter air, and avoid dangerous plants. Not all aliens accepted help. Pride and fear prevented some, but many had no choice. The humans' ability to adapt did not go unnoticed. A crystalline alien with 6 glowing eyes whispered to its companions, "How can they survive here with so little technology? This is impossible." Another human smiled as they checked the perimeter of their camp. They'll learn soon enough. It's not the tech that counts here, it's the mind. Over the next few days, the planet tested them relentlessly. Acidic storms erupted without warning. Trees uprooted themselves, crushing equipment. Rivers shifted course and massive predators roamed freely. Yet humans continued to thrive. They observed, learned, and adapted. They built clever bridges over rivers, improvised tools from natural resources, and created signaling systems to warn each other of danger. One afternoon, a group of alien delegates ventured too close to a predator nest. Panicked, they fired energy weapons, but their blasts caused a landslide. Rocks fell and pinned several of them. The humans acted immediately. Using pulleys, vines, and their knowledge of physics, they created a system to lift the boulders. Every human had a role. Some tied knots, some coordinated lifting, some watched for predators. Within minutes, the aliens were free. A small voice from the rescued aliens muttered, They really think fast. They don't panic. They just solve problems." By now, the pattern was clear. Aliens who relied on brute force or advanced technology alone failed repeatedly. They panicked. They argued. They sometimes even abandoned their own people. Humans succeeded because they stayed calm, worked together, and respected the environment instead of fighting against it. One evening, the humans gathered on a cliff overlooking a glowing river. The sky above was filled with storms, the lightning reflecting in the acidic waters. One human, a young man, turned to the group. "You know this place, it's alive. It's testing us. Every challenge is meant to teach something, and we're listening." A teammate nodded. "We survive not because it's easy, but because we adapt, and because we don't abandon each other." As night fell, the humans set up watch rotations. Other species, exhausted and confused, attempted similar systems but struggled. Many relied on automated machines that frequently failed. Others tried to build shelters from untested designs that collapsed during storms. Humans built from what they had, tested it carefully, and improved continuously. Predators prowled at night, but humans were ready. Using early warning systems, traps, and careful observation, they avoided dangerous encounters while still exploring their surroundings. Each day they gathered new resources, mapped the terrain, and learned more about the strange and hostile environment. A massive storm approached one afternoon, faster and more violent than any they had seen. Aliens panicked. Their machines sputtered and failed, but humans moved calmly, securing their camp, reinforcing shelters, and guiding those nearby to safety. When the storm hit, humans survived largely unscathed. Many aliens had to flee or hide, suffering losses and damage to their equipment. After the storm, humans emerged and checked their surroundings. Debris was cleared, shelters repaired, and everyone accounted for. They shared water and food with nearby species who had been less prepared. "We survived together," one human said simply. "No one left behind." The Arbiter, observing silently, recorded every detail. It noted how humans assessed threats, adapted strategies, and assisted others while other species failed under stress. The test was not just about survival, it was about intelligence, morality, and endurance. Humans were proving their worth. Days turned into cycles. The planet's challenges grew more severe. Predator encounters became more frequent, weather more violent, and resources more scarce. Yet humans moved steadily forward. They remained alert, cooperative, and inventive. They modified shelters, created new tools from natural resources, and devised methods to predict storms. One particularly clever human created a signaling system using reflective minerals and firelight, alerting the group to predators approaching from long distances. Another discovered a plant whose sap could neutralize the acidic rain. Every human contributed their skills, each reinforcing the other. Nearby alien species watched with a mixture of awe and fear. Some whispered among themselves, questioning their assumptions. How can they endure this?" one asked. "They have no superior technology, no advanced shields, yet they survive where we fail." A human overheard the comment and smiled. It's not technology that keeps us alive. It's thought, teamwork, and courage. By the end of the second cycle, humans had established a strong base camp. They knew the planet's dangers better than anyone else. They had gained control not by fighting against the planet, but by learning from it, respecting it, and using their minds. The alien delegations were exhausted, injured, and demoralized. Many were already questioning if they could continue. Some argued among themselves, blaming leadership, technology, or luck. Some were even injured by their own mistakes. Humans, in contrast, had few serious injuries, few broken tools, and growing confidence. As night fell over GalacticPrime once more, humans gathered around a fire, sharing stories, laughter, and quiet reflection. Above them, the stars shone faintly through storm clouds. Somewhere beyond the planet, the Arbiter watched. "Meaning the test has only begun," one human whispered. "But already we are learning, and we will endure no matter what comes next." And somewhere in the shadows, creatures stirred, curious about the new arrivals. But the humans were ready. Their eyes were sharp, their minds keen, and their spirits unbroken. GalacticPrime was a death world, but they were Deathworlders, and they laughed quietly at the planet's attempt to defeat them. The challenge had only begun, but humans were already showing the galaxy why they survived where others faltered. The winds of GalacticPrime howled like a living beast, tearing through jagged cliffs and tossing trees like twigs. Humans adjusted their gear and moved carefully, aware that the planet was watching, testing, and teaching at the same time. Other species stumbled, panicked, and cursed the harshness of their surroundings. The Arbiter's voice echoed through the storm, both in the air and in the minds of the delegates. The next phase of the test begins. A rare energy crystal lies deep within the planet's core. Retrieve it and return to the surface. Only the species that demonstrate intelligence, courage, and endurance will succeed. Those who rely solely on strength or technology will fail. The announcement sent ripples of tension through the gathered species. Some advanced alien races muttered complaints, claiming their machines could drill, fly, and detect the crystal. Others, smaller and weaker, exchanged worried glances, aware that survival itself would be a challenge. Humans, however, simply nodded and began planning. "First, we understand the terrain," said one human leader, kneeling to examine a map of the region drawn from previous exploration. "Second, we plan for dangers, both natural and living. And third, we move carefully, together." Other species laughed at the apparent simplicity of their strategy. One six-armed alien scoffed. "You rely on your feet and wits? Against what lies in the core? Preposterous." The humans smiled quietly, unbothered. Their calm confidence unsettled others. The journey toward the planet's core was treacherous. Lava rivers cut across the terrain, and acidic waterfalls hissed as they fell into crevices below. Forests of razor-like plants twisted unpredictably, and predators lurked in every shadow. Humans split into small teams, each assigned specific tasks: scouting, resource gathering, and protection. Every human had a role, and every role was executed efficiently. The first major obstacle was a deep chasm filled with bubbling lava. Alien. Machines sputtered and failed. Some species tried to leap or fly across only to fall back, damaged or injured. Humans observed the situation. Using vines, rocks, and parts of their landing craft, they constructed a pulley system. One team tied knots, another tested the rope's tension, and a third coordinated signals for timing. With patience and precision, they crossed safely. A few aliens watched in awe, unable to comprehend the simplicity yet effectiveness of the solution. "Sometimes the simplest solution is the best," a human muttered, "and the most dangerous approach is panic." As they continued, predators became more aggressive. Creatures with spiked limbs and razor teeth blocked paths or attempted ambushes. Humans relied on clever traps and camouflage, avoiding unnecessary fights. When attacks were unavoidable, they coordinated together, using the terrain and timing to their advantage. Every encounter reinforced their growing reputation as survivors. Meanwhile, alien species struggled. Machines jammed or overheated, and individuals panicked. One species even abandoned its own scouts when attacked, prioritizing self-preservation over cooperation. Humans, by contrast, ensured that no one was left behind. Injured aliens were helped, resources shared, and warnings communicated efficiently. The edge of a volcanic canyon, humans encountered the next challenge. A massive wall of rock blocking the path to a hidden cavern. The wall seemed impossible to scale. Alien delegates groaned and muttered that no species could succeed here. The humans examined the rock face carefully. They found natural grooves and cracks, using simple tools and ropes to create handholds and footholds. One human tested each step, ensuring safety before moving forward. Others followed, helping teammates over difficult sections. When an alien delegation tried to climb on their own, they quickly got stuck and required human assistance. Patience and observation are as important as strength, the human leader said calmly. Rushing leads to mistakes. Once over the wall, they entered a cavern filled with glowing minerals and a faint rhythmic vibration. The energy crystal was near, but its location was guarded by environmental hazards, shifting floors, collapsing, ceilings and sudden geysers of molten liquid. Humans moved carefully, analyzing patterns and predicting danger zones. When a geyser erupted unexpectedly, they leapt or dodged, using the eruption to propel themselves safely over unstable ground. Predators within the cavern were relentless. Humans observed their behavior, noting their timing and movement. Using simple tools like ropes, nets, and reflective surfaces, they distracted or diverted the creatures without unnecessary harm. Some aliens tried to fight directly only to be injured or driven back. Humans' approach was strategic, combining knowledge, timing, and teamwork. Finally, they reached the chamber containing the energy crystal. It hovered above a glowing pool of molten liquid pulsating with light. Many species hesitated, unwilling to approach the danger. Humans analyzed the situation carefully. Using levers, pulleys, and a stable platform they constructed, they retrieved the crystal safely. One human even stabilized it with a flexible harness, ensuring it could be carried back without falling or triggering environmental traps. On the way out, disaster struck. The cavern began to collapse, rocks and molten liquid pouring down the passage behind them. Panic could have led to disaster, but the humans remained calm. They used ropes and signals, guiding each other through safe paths while warning other species. Some aliens were caught in panic, but humans coordinated rescue efforts, pulling them to safety without hesitation. Once outside, the crystal was intact. Humans had succeeded where most others had failed. They celebrated quietly, aware that the challenge had tested more than strength. It had tested observation, ingenuity, and teamwork. A storm raged outside, yet humans used the cover to continue their journey to safer ground. Alien delegations were exhausted, some injured, some demoralized. Many realized that brute force or technology alone could not succeed on ZerathPrime. Humans' calm confidence, adaptability, and coordination set them apart. Night fell, and humans gathered in a secure area, setting up temporary shelters and monitoring environmental threats. They shared the crystal's data, analyzed the hazards they had overcome, and planned the next stage. One human looked at the glowing crystal and smiled. It's not just about getting the crystal. It's about learning from every step, every danger this planet teaches those who listen. Another nodded. Exactly. Those who panic or fight blindly will fail. Those who think, observe, and cooperate survive. That's us. Predators prowled nearby, and the wind howled like a living thing. Yet humans rested efficiently, their rotations ensuring safety and readiness. Other species struggled, many trapped in fear or exhausted by mistakes. Humans' ability to adapt and maintain calm was becoming legendary, even among other delegates. The Arbiter watched silently from beyond the stars. It recorded every action, every choice. Humans were not just surviving. They were thriving. They were demonstrating qualities that no other species had fully mastered: intelligence under pressure, courage without recklessness, and teamwork without compromise. Over the following days, the humans' reputation spread. Some aliens reluctantly sought help, unable to survive without guidance. Others stewed in envy, unable to understand how a seemingly ordinary species could navigate extreme hazards with such ease. In one particularly harrowing incident, a molten river shifted unexpectedly, blocking the path back to camp. Many alien species were trapped, their equipment useless in the face of the moving lava. Humans observed the pattern, built a temporary bridge from natural materials and ship components, and guided the trapped species safely across. "See?" a human said as they crossed. "It's not magic, it's understanding, planning, and helping each other." By the end of the challenge, humans had retrieved the crystal, guided others safely, and survived multiple hazards that had defeated most other species. They set up a secure base near the crystal site, preparing for the next phase of the Arbiter's test. The Arbiter's voice echoed again. Observation: most species failed due to fear, impatience, or selfishness. Humans demonstrate patience, cooperation, and ingenuity. They survive not by might alone, but by mind and spirit. The test continues. Humans gathered for a quiet moment, reflecting on what they had learned. "This planet," one whispered, "it's trying to teach us something. Every danger, every trap, it's a lesson. And we are learning," another replied. "We adapt, we survive, we endure." The night was dark, but humans were ready. SCIFI-Prime had tested them, but they had proven themselves capable. They were Deathworlders, survivors of the harshest conditions, and nothing the planet threw at them could break their spirit. The energy crystal pulsed softly nearby, a reminder of their success and the trials ahead. Somewhere in the shadows, predators stirred, storms raged, and alien species whispered in fear and envy. But the humans remained calm, confident, and united. The Arbiter's test had reached a new level of difficulty, yet humans continued to demonstrate what others could not: intelligence, adaptability, courage, and cooperation in the face of impossible odds. The galaxy was watching, and SCIFI-Prime had begun to reveal why humans were a species unlike any other. SCIFI-Prime had grown more unpredictable with each passing day. Rivers of molten minerals shifted unexpectedly, acid storms struck without warning, and the forests themselves seemed alive, moving slightly, as if observing the intruders. Most alien species were exhausted, their technology failing, their morale broken. Humans, however, adapted steadily, using observation, ingenuity, and teamwork to navigate every new danger. The Arbiter's next challenge revealed itself in subtle ways. One morning, the sky darkened unusually early. Lightning cracked across the horizon, followed by rolling thunder that shook the ground. A massive earthquake split part of the terrain, creating deep chasms and collapsing shelters. Alien factions panicked, some blaming others for failing to predict the disaster. The humans, however, remained calm. They had learned to expect the unexpected, to prepare for danger without giving in to fear. They quickly assessed the damage, repaired their shelters, and ensured that all nearby allies, human or alien, were safe. "Check every team," the human leader said. "No one left behind. We adapt or we fail." A nearby alien, one of the smaller species who had struggled since landing, looked in amazement. "How do you remain so calm? Everything is collapsing around us." "We observe, we plan, we act," the human replied. "Panic never solves anything." The quake had altered the landscape, cutting off known paths and creating new hazards. Humans explored the terrain carefully, mapping routes, marking dangerous areas, and sharing information with nearby species. Some alien delegations ignored the warnings, only to find themselves trapped or injured. Humans, by contrast, moved deliberately, using teamwork to navigate the chaotic terrain safely. In one instance, a group of alien scouts became trapped on a crumbling ledge above a lava river. Their machines failed to rescue them. Humans quickly improvised. Using vines, rocks, and parts of their own equipment, they built a pulley system that allowed the aliens to descend safely. Every human had a role. Some anchored ropes, some coordinated timing, and some guided the aliens' movements. The operation was tense but successful. One rescued alien whispered in gratitude, We could not have done this alone. You truly understand survival." Humans only smiled and continued their work. To them, helping others was part of surviving, part of adapting, and part of maintaining morale. Predators also increased their activity. Creatures with multiple limbs, armored scales, and glowing eyes stalked the survivors in packs. Humans used clever strategies to avoid direct conflict. Traps, decoys, and careful timing allowed them to move without confrontation. Alien species, relying on brute force, were frequently attacked, injured, or driven back. A massive forest fire broke out one afternoon, spreading quickly due to the dry, volatile vegetation. Many alien camps were threatened. Humans coordinated evacuation routes, guiding smaller species to safe zones and helping extinguish flames where possible. They worked efficiently and without hesitation, saving dozens of alien lives that would have otherwise been lost. One human, standing at the edge of the fire, shouted to a teammate, "Use the wind. It carries the fire away from the safe path. Keep the others moving." By nightfall, humans had established secure shelters in multiple locations. They shared resources, coordinated patrols, and ensured that every individual had food, water, and protection from the hazards. Other species struggled to maintain organization. Some factions blamed each other for failures, while others hoarded resources or abandoned injured companions. The humans' actions were noted not only by the aliens, but also by the Arbiter, who observed silently from beyond the stars. Every rescue, every clever strategy, and every act of cooperation was recorded. Humans were proving that survival depended not just on strength or technology, but on ethics, teamwork, and ingenuity. As days passed, humans faced increasingly extreme challenges. One morning, a series of tremors opened a massive chasm in the landscape, separating teams and leaving equipment stranded on unstable ground. Alien species panicked, some attempting to leap across dangerous gaps or use malfunctioning technology to bridge the distances. Many were injured in the process. Humans, however, assessed the situation calmly. They tied ropes, tested supports, and built temporary bridges using natural resources and debris from the terrain. Communication was precise. Signals, gestures, and simple codes allowed every team member to know their role. Slowly but surely, they reunited all separated groups without injury. "Every problem has a solution," one human muttered to a teammate. "We just have to find it and work together." Meanwhile, alien species continued to struggle. A faction tried to steal supplies from another, leading to conflict and further injuries. Humans intervened, preventing unnecessary fighting and ensuring that resources were distributed fairly. Their moral clarity and practical cooperation contrasted sharply with the chaos surrounding them. Predators continued to stalk the humans, testing their vigilance and adaptability. A massive creature with armored scales lunged from the shadows at a human scout. Instead of panicking, the team used reflective surfaces and sound distractions to divert the predator's attention, guiding it away without harm. The scout remained unharmed, and the creature, confused and cautious, retreated. One alien, observing from a distance, whispered, They never panic. They understand the world and themselves." Humans continued to explore the planet's hazards while maintaining their base camp. They mapped areas, identified safe zones, and learned to predict patterns in the storms, predators, and shifting terrain. Every day brought a new lesson, and humans applied knowledge immediately, adjusting strategies as needed. In one particularly intense moment, a violent storm struck while a team was scouting near a volcanic ridge. Lightning, acid rain, and strong winds combined to create almost unbearable conditions. Alien delegations struggled, machines failed, and some individuals were injured. Humans, however, had prepared. They set up temporary windbreaks, secured themselves with ropes, and used coordinated movements to navigate the storm. They guided nearby aliens to safety, treating injuries and reinforcing shelter. By the time the storm passed, humans had survived with minimal damage. Many alien species, in contrast, had lost equipment, supplies, and morale. The pattern was clear. Humans thrived where others faltered because of preparation, cooperation, and resilience. One night, gathered around a fire in a protected valley, humans reflected on the challenges they had faced. "The planet keeps testing us," said one. "But every time we learn. Every danger teaches something new." Another nodded. "It's not just survival. It's how we survive. Together, thoughtfully and with care. That's what sets us apart." Nearby, alien delegations watched. Some were silent, still recovering from injuries and failure. Others whispered in envy or disbelief. Humans' success was unsettling to many. They had expected power, machines, or advanced technology to dominate the test, but humans had succeeded through simple but effective principles: intelligence, adaptability, courage, and cooperation. Predators prowled nearby, but humans remained alert. Rotations ensured constant vigilance, and every team member understood the importance of observation and preparedness. Alien species struggled to maintain similar systems. Some panicked, others tried to rely on failing technology or self-interest. Humans' calm, organized approach contrasted sharply with the chaos surrounding them. By the end of this cycle, humans had secured multiple camps, rescued alien delegates from danger, avoided predators, and learned more about Zirath primes, hazards than any other species. Their reputation among aliens grew. Some approached them for guidance, reluctant to admit dependence. Others remained distant, wary, or proud, yet secretly studied the humans' methods. The Arbiter's voice resonated again, echoing across the valleys and mountains of the planet. Observation. Most species fail due to panic, selfishness, or lack of foresight. Humans demonstrate cooperation, intelligence, and resilience. They survive by not only understanding the environment, but by understanding each other. The test continues. Humans gathered quietly, the energy from their successes flowing among them. Every species will face the same challenges. One whispered, "Some will fail. Others will try to cheat or dominate. But we survive because we act as one." As night fell over the planet, storms raged in the distance, predators prowled, and the terrain shifted unpredictably. Yet humans rested with purpose, ready for the next challenge. They had proven something remarkable. Survival was not about weapons, technology, or raw power. It was about mind, spirit, and unity. Zirath Prime remained a death world, dangerous and unforgiving. But humans, the Deathworlders, had shown that they were capable of enduring even in chaos. Their teamwork, courage, and ingenuity had saved lives, conquered challenges, and set them apart from every other species on the planet. And somewhere beyond the swirling storms and glowing forests, the Arbiter watched, silently acknowledging what no one else yet fully understood. Humans were exceptional. The test was far from over, but humans had already proven the principle that would guide them through the coming trials. Together, adaptable and courageous, they could survive anything Zirath Prime and the universe could throw at them. The sun rose over Zirath Prime with an intensity that made the skies bleed gold and crimson. The planet's surface had already tested every species to its limit, but this morning brought a silence more profound than any storm or predator. The final phase of the Arbiter's test was about to begin, and every species waited in tense anticipation. The Arbiter's voice echoed across the rocky valleys and twisted forests. "You have survived the planet's challenges. You have endured storms, predators, and shifting terrain. But the ultimate measure is not endurance alone. It is understanding, cooperation, and courage under pressure. Only those who truly embody these qualities will succeed." Delegates from every species trembled. Some whispered to each other, doubting their chances. Others prepared for final confrontation, hoping to dominate the test through strength or cunning. Humans, however, stood quietly together, calm and confident. They had no need to boast or threaten. Their preparation and experience spoke for themselves. The final challenge was revealed. A massive canyon, deep and wide, with a glowing energy field in its heart. The energy crystal retrieved earlier was part of the puzzle. It needed to be placed in a pedestal at the canyon's center. Only then would the Arbiter evaluate the results. But the canyon was perilous. Walls crumbling, shifting rock bridges, predators lurking, and unpredictable storms roaring through the gap. Many alien species hesitated. Machines malfunctioned or broke entirely under the planet's hostile conditions. Some leaders panicked, demanding immediate action without planning. Others argued, blaming each other for perceived failures. Humans, by contrast, gathered their teams and outlined a clear, calm strategy. "Observe first," one human said. "Predict danger, then act carefully. Trust each other and move as one." The human approach was methodical. Scouts examined the canyon, noting the safest paths. Engineers tested temporary supports for unstable bridges. Guides marked warning signs for all team members. When environmental hazards erupted, falling rocks, sudden storms, and bursts of molten rock, the humans adapted, using quick thinking and teamwork to ensure safety. Meanwhile, alien delegations struggled. Some attempted to cross unstable bridges without preparation, falling into the abyss or injuring themselves. Others relied on malfunctioning machines, which broke under the stress. Panic and fear spread among many species, weakening their chances of success. Humans, calm and focused, continued steadily. At one point, a massive predator emerged from the shadows, a creature taller than any human, with armored scales and multiple limbs tipped with razor-sharp claws. Alien species panicked, firing weapons that had little effect. Humans, however, observed the predator's movements, noted patterns, and used clever distractions, mirrors, noise decoys, and coordinated movement to bypass the threat safely. The predator, confused and frustrated, eventually retreated. "Patience and observation," a human leader muttered. "It's what wins here, not force." Reaching the center of the canyon, humans carefully placed the energy crystal onto the pedestal. Immediately, a pulse of light radiated from the crystal, spreading across the canyon. The Arbiter's voice filled every mind. Observation complete, evaluation beginning. The results were clear. Every other species had failed in some way, through panic, greed, arrogance, or inability to adapt. Machines had broken, resources had been wasted, and cooperation had been ignored. Many species had abandoned their own members, prioritizing survival of individuals over teamwork. Humans, however, had succeeded completely. They had endured the harshest storms, navigated treacherous terrain, avoided predators, and even assisted alien species who struggled. They had relied on observation, clever thinking, and cooperation, rather than brute force or advanced technology. They had maintained calm, courage, and moral clarity under conditions that crushed every other species. The Arbiter's voice resonated, filled with what could almost be described as admiration. Every other species failed the ultimate test. Only the humans, the Deathworlders, demonstrated the qualities necessary to survive and succeed. They adapted to every challenge, cooperated with others, and remained courageous and intelligent in the face of extreme adversity. Humans, you have passed where all others failed. Humans stood quietly, their eyes reflecting the glowing energy of the crystal in the distant storms. They had anticipated challenges, but this moment was not just about survival. It was about being recognized for qualities others had underestimated. Nearby alien delegates stared in disbelief. Some were angry, unable to accept failure. Others were humbled, realizing they had misjudged the humans. Whispers spread among them. How could they endure when we could not? One alien leader, tall and crystalline, finally spoke, voice shaking. They are extraordinary. Not in strength, not in weapons, but in mind, courage, and unity. A human woman smiled softly. "We've always known this," she said. "It's not about being the strongest. It's about being adaptable, smart, and working together. That's how we survive, on our planet and any other." The Arbiter's light pulsed once more. Humans, you are the benchmark of resilience and intelligence. Your ability to endure, adapt, and cooperate defines the ideal of sentient survival. The galaxy will take note, and your species shall be remembered as one capable of thriving where all others fail. Humans did not celebrate loudly. They did not boast or show arrogance. Instead, they stood together, quietly acknowledging the truth of their survival. It had been earned through patience, courage, intelligence, and unity. Some alien delegates approached humans, still unsure whether to trust them. The humans extended hands and guidance, offering help without pride. "Learn from this," one human said gently. "The planet does not reward those who fight blindly or panic. It rewards those who observe, adapt, and act together." The planet itself seemed to acknowledge the humans' success. Storms calmed, rivers slowed their furious course, and predators retreated to the shadows. SCIFI-Prime, the Deathworld that had tested the galaxy's greatest civilizations, had finally recognized the Deathworlders as worthy survivors. As humans prepared to return to their ships, the Arbiter's voice spoke once more. "This test will be remembered. Every species shall know. Survival depends not on power alone, but on mind, spirit, and unity. Humans, you have demonstrated what all others lacked. You are the ultimate survivors of this death world." The humans gazed across the planet one last time. It had been harsh, unforgiving, and relentless. Yet it had taught them lessons and allowed them to prove their worth. Their eyes reflected storms, glowing minerals, and the distant horizon. In those moments they laughed quietly, not with arrogance, but with satisfaction and understanding. They had endured what no other species could. The galaxy would soon hear the story. Every species had failed the test. The Arbiter's challenge, designed to measure ultimate survival, had revealed the humans' extraordinary adaptability, courage, and moral strength. The Deathworlders had not merely survived, they had thrived. In the final moments on SCIFI-Prime, humans gathered together, sharing simple words of reflection. "We faced every danger," one said. "We adapted to every challenge, and we did it together." Another nodded. "The planet tested us, the Arbiter tested us, and we succeeded. Not because we are the strongest, but because we are humans. That is enough." They boarded their ships calmly, not needing to display triumph or power. The galaxy would know soon enough. SCIFI-Prime, the ultimate death world, had confirmed it. Humans were survivors of a kind no other species could match. The Arbiter, observing silently, recorded their departure. A faint ripple of light shimmered across its form, almost as if it acknowledged the humans' achievement with respect. The other species, still scattered across the planet, could only watch, humbled and envious, realizing that no matter their strength or technology, they had not learned the lessons of SCIFI-Prime. As the ships lifted into the sky, leaving the stormy death world behind, humans looked back one final time. They knew that wherever they went, the universe would carry the story of the Deathworlders who laughed, endured, and triumphed, where all others had failed. And in that quiet, victorious moment, the humans understood what the Arbiter had truly measured. Not machines, not weapons, not even sheer strength, but the mind, the spirit, and the unbreakable unity of a species willing to survive anything the universe could throw at them. SCIFI-Prime had been a challenge, a teacher, and a judge. Humans had passed. The galaxy would remember, and the Deathworlders just laughed.